Hey everybody, Felix Stoffelbaker here. I wanted to make a video about, I think that the day of reckoning for EOS block producers is rapidly approaching, and what we really are seeing is that 21 block producers on the EOS mainnet are the ones that get to make the blocks themselves and get to earn the most rewards for making those blocks. And what we're really seeing is a majority of the block producers really fail to meet their community regulate. It's not regulated, but the community standards, I would call it. It's very broad. Obviously nothing's set in stone. There isn't really a standard to go by other than what Block 1 had put out as far as what they were going to vote for with their tokens. But I think that there's a lot of block producers that are halfway doing it, or simply not providing all of their infrastructure to EOS mainnet, and that's going to be evident whenever they rapidly start dropping out of paid positions and then even standby positions, because you've got to realize with EOS that there are dozens of standby operators and hundreds of block producers, candidates, and people running nodes trying to get votes for the EOS mainnet. And we see, I was gifted some Lynx tokens to use an app called Chirp at the beginning of the year, and I noticed a lot of EOS mainnet block producers started making blocks for Lynx blockchain, which is like a EOS side chain, making them for Telos and a handful of other EOS side chains, and that's really diverting that energy from the mainnet that they could have been using to bolster their infrastructure and really scale up to what EOS is going to need, and basically by default demand, just to be able to even play. And I think a lot of these block producers are going to get left behind and just go the way of many .com bubble companies and things who were trying, maybe had some good ideas, had an initial push, and then just couldn't keep up with innovation or whatever it is, management, whatever's holding. And I'm not calling anybody specifically out. In general, this is going to be a broad, I would say, event over the course of the next year to 2 years. I would say within about 24 months. I mean, we're going to look at EOS mainnet, and it's not going to look the same. It's not going to look anything how it does right now. We first and foremost, we need to get block producers into paid and block making status who are going with the EOS mainnet infrastructure and really providing the most bang for the token. And a lot of these block producers have had time to implement the resource model, for example, and they haven't done it yet. Implementing the resource model will drastically change the fundamentals in the tokenomics for the resources associated with EOS, and I suggest looking into the Block 1 resource model that has not only been proposed but is coded out and basically is just waiting for approval of the top 15 of the 21 block producers. And as centralized as EOS is, as the whole community says EOS is so centralized, why isn't this being pushed through? This should be forced through. Oh, it's so centralized. That's because it's not at all. It's super decentralized to the point of it's hard to even get things that will drastically increase I mean, everything from fundamentals all the way to price, and it's not being implemented. So you have to assume that the block producers that are currently partaking are either acting in bad faith or are, negligent. I can't really think of another option other than those two scenarios. So I think that we're going to see, and I wouldn't even call it a purge or anything like that, we're just going to see a transformation of block producers from ones who are stagnant and not producing anything other than blocks and capturing rewards to people like take for example Google. You may not like it. They're not even worried about the rewards. They don't care about the rewards. That's nothing to them. They're trying to figure out how this technology works so that they can implement it for themselves and for the benefit of everybody else. If they understand it better and can run their own, they'll be able to run the mainnet better as well. They might find some sort of Google-esque type of way to make things much, much simpler, and then that's going to make everything better. So, companies like that who are pushing innovation at the cutting edge and always pushing the limits versus maintaining the status quo and trying to stay comfortable in a paid spot where everything is easy. I think that people not paying close attention to this and also keeping tokens on exchanges, whether you got a fraction of an EOS token or if you're one of the whales who's got several million tokens, you need to not have tokens on any exchanges. It has nothing against those exchanges. They simply are using tokens, any of them, they're using those to vote, and then they're often voting themselves in, sometimes multiple BPs per exchange, and then they're just collecting EOS and not implementing resource models and doing other things that aren't actually helping the EOS community move forward. So I think that the day is coming and it'll be a transformation, but the time is coming where I believe we won't even see a handful of the BPs that are around now in the next 1 to 2 years on the EOS mainnet, and that's going to be good for it. Don't get me wrong, that's going to be good. I'm just ahead of what's coming. Plus we want the resource model to be implemented, so we need to start pushing for either BPs to step up or step out, and I think now's the time. So we're going to start see everything moving with the markets, and things will start increasing. EOS is going to be piping hot any moment now, and people are going to wish that they had stuck with it and even got in more. So I'll talk to you next time. Stoffel Baker out.